BC, welcome.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks for agreeing to do this. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is BC Thibeaux. I am Senior Vice President at Hub International. Born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, and have been in the insurance business for going on 14 years now.
You must have started when you were 12.
Right. Thanks for the compliment. I think I was about 24 when I started. Yeah.
Great. Your whole career's been at Hub?
So, good question. No, I started my insurance career actually in London. Did almost a year internship work experience with Lloyd's of London. Studied the energy and marine insurance business over there. And then moved back to Louisiana, to Lafayette, and started at Hub in a more of a marketing assistant type role, and then kind of went into producing and production there after the fact. And then in 2016, I got approached by another smaller agency to come work with them and be a partner with them, and figured while I was still young to, make a change. I needed to do it while I didn't have a lot of obligations, didn't really have a family at that time or no kids yet. So I did it and learned a lot in those 9 or so months that I was with the other agency, and realized that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, no matter how much money or equity or whatever they throw at you, and parted ways in a positive way with that group, and then came back to Hub, and fortunate that my boss at the time was willing to take me back, and then that was in 2016. So from there on, I've been at Hub and have been absolutely love it. Great work, great place to work at.
Well, awesome. That internship you did at Lloyd's must have been an incredible experience for a young insurance guy. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So it was a fantastic experience. The way I got it was, you've met my dad before. My dad's been in the insurance business for 45 years. And at the time, I was looking to get into insurance. He does and did a lot of business into the London marketplace. He does a lot of energy insurance, control of well insurance, and most of those policies have to be insured in London. So he introduced me to a guy that he did and does a lot of business with, and the guy kind of took me under his wing and said, "Hey, come move to London, come study the business with me. We'll show you around, let you meet all the top underwriters that write this class of business." And, and repayment, when you get on your feet back at home, send us your business.
It's pretty interesting. It's amazing to see the business from the other side first, then come over here and represent clients who never see that.
Yeah.
It's probably unique.
It was. And London has a totally different, well, COVID's kind of changed it a little bit, but London still operates more traditionally than we do here in the U.S. For insurance purposes. A broker in London physically goes to Lloyd's, which is basically a trading floor for insurance, and meets with an underwriter in person. So, for example, Pharma-Safe's insurance, marine liability insurance is placed into London. Well, in order for me to transact business in the London marketplace, I have to go to a London broker, just like you have to go work with a broker to transact your insurance. I have to work with a broker there. Well, those brokers take all your policy information, your underwriting information, your claims history, application forms, and they go do like we're doing right now. And they go sit down at what's called the box. And it's literally a box at the underwriting floor at Lloyd's, and speak to the underwriter and have a conversation about your risk and negotiate terms and conditions, deductibles, pricing, so on and so forth. and the underwriters literally take a fountain pen and they put their signature on it, their Lloyd stamp of approval, and basically say, we want to insure 20% of the $1 million policy that Pharma-Safe buys. And then the broker goes to another participating syndicate and gets their sign off on it till we get to 100% participation. And it's just a really cool way of doing business. Whereas here in the States, it's emails and, more technology, I guess, related.
That's very interesting. I love that way of doing business. It's almost like a fish market or a trading floor where people are still sitting across from each other, humans talking to humans about the risk and understanding the risk.
Yeah, it's London is called a subscription marketplace, right? So very rarely do you see any one syndicate. That's what they call them. There's basically insurance companies, like Travelers here that we know of. They have a syndicate presence in London. It's very rare to see one syndicate write 100% of any one risk. Normally you have anywhere from 3 to 40 different syndicates on a risk, depending on the exposures, the volatility, and so on and so forth.
That's very interesting.
And so what happens is if, you have a catastrophic claim, those syndicates pay out their percentage of the loss compared to what they sign up for. And in return, they take that percentage of the premium as well.
Yeah, we mitigate our risk by buying insurance and having different deductibles. They mitigate our risk by spreading the risk over different players.
That's correct, 100%. Yep.
So do all the types of policies a company like this have exist over there, or is it just certain ones?
In the London marketplace? London, you can buy insurance. The Lloyd's motto is they will write any insurance except life insurance. Life insurance is about the only policy you can't buy in the London marketplace. And their theory stems back to years and years where they don't have good prediction of analytics and prediction of life insurance policies, where they can have predictions on hurricanes and storms and property insurance and vessels and, high value property insurance, so on and so forth. But yeah, they are the market for specialty insurance.
Yeah, I've always heard these stories, either on the internet or in books where a dancer insures their legs and, somebody insures this or that.
Yeah, there's a price for anything, and they are good at what we call manuscripting policy forms, to fit a certain industry or certain clients' needs. For like that example, the dancer, or I forgot that famous safety that played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had the long hair.
Palomalu?
That's it. He was a spokesman for Head and Shoulders. Well, he had his hair insured for $1 million in London. So they'll do crazy things like that, which is really cool.
How has having direct relationships with those underwriters help your day-to-day business?
Because of the type of business I do, a lot of transportation, energy, and marine insurance, I do place a lot of business into the London marketplace. And my relationships with those underwriters and my broker that I use, or brokers, it goes a long way. I do go there 2 to 3 times a year. Sometimes I'll bring a client with me. And that's where the difference is. When you're able to bring a client that buys insurance in the London marketplace to meet the underwriters can meet the owner or the president of these companies or the risk managers, and they can put a face to a name, talk like we're talking now over a beer or over dinner, kind of how they do with underwriters. That just really helps with the terms and conditions, pricing for renewals, and so on and so forth. So having that personal relationship like I do with my broker and the lead syndicate underwriters is very key. Sometimes, I'll just get on we WhatsApp all the times, get on FaceTime or Teams calls, and Yeah, it's a lot easier to get stuff done when you have those kind of relationships.
I know a few years ago you introduced us some underwriters in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a lot of light bulb moments in that conversation where they clearly understood better what we do than they did on paper. So that was a big advantage for us.
That's right. Yep. And like I said, there's only so much documents and safety information and applications you can send to underwriters that explain what Pharma-Safe or what this vessel operator does. But if you can get one of the, high level owners or managers of the company in a room or in a meeting, really to tell the story of Pharma-Safe, and how, for example, how they've evolved and stuff, that goes a long way.
What are some of your biggest challenges overcoming the typical persona of an insurance agent with clients? Because you're not the typical insurance agent. I consider you a strategic partner. We've worked together on a lot of challenges. We've won some battles. We lost some battles. How do you make yourself different than everybody else?
Communication. I think the insurance world are, just how some attorneys get a bad rap, insurance brokers get a bad rap. And I think it all boils down to communication. A lot of insurance brokers out there can get very complacent, maybe lazy at times. They have a nice book of business and it's just kind of their clients' renewals are on auto renewal, if you will, and they just kind of go through the motions and, bring in proposals day before the client renews with X amount of increase. That's not how me and my team operate. If we think something is going to get bad on a renewal, we communicate that well in advance with the client so they can prepare what they need to expect for their renewal. So communication is, look, sometimes that communication is difficult. One year I might be like, Doug, hey, I'm coming in and there's nothing else out there and this is your only option and we got to go with X deductible. This is going to be your premium. I'm going to communicate that with you, 30, 60 days before once we start getting market feedback. And I think a lot of brokers miss that.
Very good. Let's talk some more about you.
Yeah. So in the insurance industry, people always ask whether it's a client, a friend, family member, how or why did you get into insurance? Nobody really goes to school saying, I want to be an insurance broker, or I want to be an adjuster or a claims administrator. Most of the time it's because of a family member. And I mentioned earlier that my dad has been in the business. I grew up around insurance. I still am, but was a avid golfer. I played college golf for University of Louisiana for 4 years, graduated, turned professional, actually played on the mini tours for a couple years before I moved to London and got into insurance. And just kind of backing up a little bit, the way that I got introduced to the gentleman that I worked with in London was about a month after I decided to stop playing golf professionally. And my dad was like, all right, son, I'm gonna give you a couple months to figure out what you want to do. I'll support you, but you got a couple months to recalibrate and, make a name for yourself. And I vividly remember waking up one morning about 10:30 in the morning and calling my dad and saying, hey, Dad, what you doing for lunch? Trying to get a free lunch. He says, well, son, actually, I'm going to Charlie G's, which is a really nice restaurant here in town, with a guy I do business with from London. He's in town to see me. Why don't you come join us? Sure. And that's where it all started. The gentleman asked me the same question. Well, what are you doing for a living? I said, well, you're looking at it. I'm mooching off my dad till I figure it out. And he said, well, why don't you
Great honesty.
Yeah. He said, why don't you just come move to London and get yourself planted here and your teeth, you get your career started here. And that was a no-brainer. I was single or not married, no kids, and it was a very easy decision for me. So a little bit about me. I'm a big golfer. And I still continue to play a little bit to this day. I have 2 kids that are interested in it, so it's more about me, introducing them to the game of golf and showing them the values that golf can bring to them personally and potentially in the future for business, like it did for me.
Very cool. Well, you buried the lead. I never knew you toured professionally. I knew you loved playing golf.
Yeah,
but that's interesting.
Yeah, so I did. I played on the mini tour, so it's like equivalent would be like the minor leagues for baseball, right? And I did get one start on the nationwide tour, which is the PGA, right under the PGA Tour, and made the cut. And that's my claim to fame. I have a check from the PGA Tour in my office, hung up in a frame, so I can say that I have gotten a check from the PGA Tour.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. A lot of life lessons and experiences doing that for a couple years, being on the road for 36, 40 weeks out of the year, living in a Holiday Inn and, just going from one state to the next, was very rewarding at times, but more so than not very challenging, and which made you learn more about yourself and be able to grow as a human. Interesting.
I like that a lot. Let's talk about what you do now. Let's talk about some challenges, maybe what are the types of insurance that companies like ours should have? What are some of the pitfalls? What are things to look for?
Yeah. So the insurance world, especially within the last, let's say 5 years, has become more challenging, whether it's due to more natural disasters, that are impacting the property market, or some states not having good legislative laws, not passing tort reform for auto liability. Things have gotten a lot more challenging, and thus making it very important for a business owner to partner with a nice brokerage firm that has the resources, knowledge, and capabilities to get the policies you need placed, and to think outside the box. Okay, and it's not just here's your policy, here's your premium, here's your deductible. There's lots of different things that we have to look out, especially for Pharma-Safe being in the oil and gas field. There are MSAs, master service agreements, that you guys enter into that require certain endorsements and coverage forms to be in your policies. And it's up to us as your strategic broker to review those MSAs, making sure that you're in compliance. And if you're not, advising you, why you're not and how we can get you in compliance if it's a new contract.
Yeah, we really appreciate the service you guys provide by being able to send you guys the master service agreement, and y'all sending us very quickly, usually within 24 hours, a detailed analysis, things to look out for, questions to ask, suggested revisions, and how it aligns with our policies in regard to their insurance requirements, which quite often require a variance for a company like us that doesn't have vessels and helicopters and stuff like that. So there's always some details in there. And conversely, there's some very old MSAs we have that you guys never had a chance to look at or clue us in the things we should ask questions about. That created problems down the road. And we're in the process of finishing one of those renegotiations of an MSA right now. That was never reviewed in the old days. And I guess when Pharma-Safe first started, Lannis and Ken were extremely glad to have any MSA come across the desk.
You just sign it.
So we just sign it and send it back. Never thinking anything could happen. We went through a very blessed time period of having no claims for a long time. We had a few claims, and every one of those claims made us look deeply into the master service agreement and what we were being held to. And the ones that went to litigation, that was a crucial point in deciding where the money was going to flow. So that's an important part of what y'all do.
Yeah, correct. And, as far as, in the oil and gas and marine business, these policies are the way they're worded. I mean, it could be one little word in there that can throw off your whole additional insured language, which you're providing to your clients. And you're signing those MSAs, naming as additional insured. And there are specific additional insured endorsements out there, older ones, which have very broad language, which are good. And some of the newer ones that are very, not as broad, where if you enter into one of those newer additional insured endorsements, there is a big gap, a potential big gap in your coverage through that MSA that you're signing. So that's a very important part of what we do is, we can go get you a policy and get you all the endorsements, but it has to be specific endorsements that keep you in compliance with those MSAs. And if that is missed and you have a claim where one of your employees, for example, gets injured on a job, obviously that's a workers' comp claim. However, let's say you're working for Chevron and on a Chevron platform, and he sues Chevron for unsafe working conditions, let's say. Well, your MSA indemnifies Chevron. So that in turn comes onto your general liability policy as what's called an action over claim. And if you don't have the proper additional insured endorsements on there, those underwriters could potentially deny coverage. Then you're stuck defending and indemnifying Chevron on your own dollar instead of the insurance policy that you bought.
Do me a favor. Let's say that whole thing again, but instead of using Chevron, let's say oil company. So we can use it, because I can't use it if we say Chevron.
Got it.
So start in the beginning.
Yeah. So to start over, the policies that Pharma-Safe purchases, or any marine and energy company in that space, are very important. And it's not just the policy that's important, it's the endorsements within that policy that are important. Specifically, your additional insured endorsement. There are several different forms of additional insured endorsements, going all the way back to what we call the 85 edition, which is the broadest additional insured form. It's basically doesn't have any issues for any of the contracts that you would sign. However, as claims have arose through the years, attorneys get involved, insurance companies get involved. There's a new additional insured form that has come out, several of them. And one of the most recent ones doesn't provide the sole negligence coverage that you would need when you're signing those MSAs. So it's very important to have a broker that knows those correct additional insured endorsements and which ones to use. For example, if you're on a job working for an oil and gas company on one of their platforms, doing what you do, providing medics and so on and so forth, and that person, Pharma-Safe employee, gets injured. You and I both know that is a workers' comp claim. He or she is gonna get treated and have work comp benefits. But that doesn't mean the claim is over. If that person, that employee of Pharma-Safe, can still sue the oil company that you're working for example, unsafe working conditions. Well, your MSA that you have with that oil company, you indemnify them, hold them harmless, have them name them as an additional insured. So basically, you have to now provide the defense and indemnity for that oil and gas company. And if you don't have the exact wording or the exact additional insured endorsement or endorsements that pair up together, you could be in breach of contract and not even know it. And that's the last thing that a small to medium-sized business like Pharma-Safe needs, is to not realize they're in breach of contract because of one little endorsement on their additional insured marine general liability policy.
Great explanation. Those details are so important. You and I have both experienced some cases similar to that. And yep. I can tell you, it's important to look at all the details.
Yes, sir. Yep.
What else? Anything else on your mind?
Man, kids are back in school.
Yes. The traffic changed quite a bit.
That's right, especially coming back from Fatima on Johnston back this way to work in the morning. But we're having a fantastic year. We've had a fantastic several years, my team, on new business, and our retentions are fantastic. And already starting to plan for, first quarter of next year on how we're going to find more new business and do it all over again.
Very good. Let's talk about your team. Like, obviously, you're the main guy, the producer for your team. What are some of the other players on your team, and what do they do to make you better?
Yeah, that's great because it's not all me. It's actually more them. So I am very fortunate to work for a company, Hub, that supports me and my career and my book of business and gives me the resources that I need for my clients and for bringing on new clients. So I have a team exclusively to myself of about 9 individuals. I have a lady that is responsible. She's a high-level account manager that's over all the other account managers, helps review MSAs, rechecking policies or quotes for those right endorsements. She's also client-facing. So if I'm away and we need to get a renewal done, she will go and do that renewal with the client, sometimes without me there. If I'm, tracking down new business, so on and so forth. And then I have 3 or 4 other account managers or account executives under her that are the day-to-day brains behind the servicing of our clients. So if Pharma-Safe needs a certificate of insurance for a new vendor, they'll send that out. If you purchase a new car, they'll send the auto ID card out. And then under them, I have a couple processors that will do all the back end stuff, saving stuff in our agency management system, following up on endorsements, payments, so on and so forth. And then that's the service side of my team. And then we have the marketing side, where we have 2-3 individuals that do our marketing. Well, in insurance, marketing isn't like your traditional business where you're marketing your brand. Marketing in insurance is the behind-the-scenes effort of my team working with the underwriters on renewal quotes. We get out to market well in advance of our clients' renewal dates, getting alternative options from other carriers, checking quotes, forming proposals, and then giving it off to the account managers and then myself to deliver a renewal to somebody like Pharma-Safe. And then we also have a full-time in-house claims person that reports claims for our clients, does open claim review for our clients on a monthly or quarterly basis, follows up with adjusters on status of claims, and just kind of takes that burden off of the business owners, because that's the last thing you guys want to do is deal with adjusters and handle claims on a day-to-day basis. And then as a shared resource, finally, we have a risk management division or a loss control division that is extra resource for our clients. If you need help revamping your safety programs, if you need, if you're in transportation, we do DOT mock audits, just kind of if a third set of eyes for your safety division. Or if you're a really small business and you don't have a safety division, we're here to implement those policies and procedures to help your company and to help with your insurance premiums. Because when underwriters see a good safety practice, good hiring practices, good core values, they're going to be more excited to insure you than somebody that doesn't have anything in place. So that's kind of our team in a nutshell. And they do a fantastic job.
Well, we've interacted with all of them, and I concur. Great team you have, and I'm a firm believer of you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with, and I'm blessed also with a great team here that makes me so much better, makes Pharma-Safe so much better. So I can honestly, I echo what you said. It's not about me. It's about them executing the vision of the company and me making sure they having the resources or the questions are answered or giving them the vision or guidance of where we want to go. So
yeah, and it's what we've done too, and I'm sure we've kind of talked about this. I think Pharma-Safe went through some of this. We've identified on our team over the past few years what are our strengths and weaknesses as it relates to our job, right? So one of my strengths is, and what I enjoy doing is meeting potential new clients, going out on prospects visits, getting into the weeds to try to find a wedge or a hole in another broker's work to try to pick up their account. That's what I'm good at. That's what I enjoy doing. While we have other members of our team who are more reserved and want to be behind the desk and doing basically like an inside broker, a back end job on the back end where, I'm too ADD to be sitting at a desk all day,
Right.
So the members of our team, we all complement each other. And I think that's very, very important.
Very cool. We covered some great stuff.
Yeah.
Once again, I'll throw it back to you. Is there anything else you want to talk about that would be customer facing? Because when I send this to you, you have an opportunity to chop up pieces of it to use for your own social media. So is there some stuff you want to say in regard to your customers, future customers? You want to talk about Hub? You want to talk about you? Open forum.
Yeah, not really. I think, one, I'm thankful for all my customers, and I think most of them, if not all of them, sincerely think that, I work and our team work really, really hard, and not your typical insurance broker where you call them on a Friday afternoon, they're fishing or on a golf course. I think they would all think we're very good communicators, and that's really about it.
Well, good deal. Well, I got no more questions. I think we got some great stuff, and I think you'll be pleased with the way it looks and the way it sounds.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Doug.
Thank you, BC.
All right.